Right, so we are back for session 3 with Paul Coker at Move Physiotherapy, but I just want to show you something quickly. How good is that? The movement's coming back, we're going to be running soon, but let's get inside and see what Paul thinks.
Fine. Okay, so everything moving in the right direction. Cool, right, so let's see the movements in this position. So if you just go toes right down. Do you feel sore when you do that, or just super tight?
It just feels tight, you can't go any further.
And then if you go the other way, so you're kind of going better that way now. Then
and it's not, again, there's not any discomfort. It's just, again, just feels
And does it feel stiffer one way than the other to you? Up versus down?
I think down feels
Yeah. And then if you go from there, so feet towards each other, so that's coming along nicely, but it's still tight there. And then relax, and then go to the outsides. That's the one where you feel like it doesn't make any sense.
I think I'm just rubbish at that motion, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, well, let's teach you. So think of it like a quarter of a circle, right? So, and if you think of that circle being drawn by the little toe coming up and round like this.
Yeah.
And as you do it, you want to feel a squeeze in here, but understand it's not just toe extension.
Yeah.
And then back round again, and then this time you're going to lift there and you're going to hold it in that position so you don't let me move you. Okay, can't break it, right? I can't break that contraction in the muscle. Okay, so there's the movement. Do that a couple of times. So the muscle strain up here.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Just again on the outside of the ankle.
And then hold it there. I'm not going to push it super hard, but you can see that there is loads less power there.
Very different. Very different.
What about going down? So if you give me a shove down there, nice and strong, shove down there, like quite similar really. Yeah. You've got to keep the foot up, but you've got to keep the toes slightly curled.
Right, okay.
So this is a really interesting one to look at. And you can feel that's not your preferred way of doing it, right? But you can hold it.
Yeah.
So here, if you curl, hold. It's not too bad.
No, it feels alright.
So really power-wise, going to the outside, movement-wise, we'll have a look at coming straight down this time, right? Because actually that's one we haven't worked on, and of all those movements, it kind of looks the tightest. So toe point, this is plantar flexion. And you can feel just how much easier and freer that is to go down through there, right? Yeah. So, but again, we're thinking that you've kind of focused that damage around the actual ankle joint itself. And the more this goes on, the more convinced I am that you've held your ligament system together, and it's that sort of ankle joint sprain of the actual joint itself.
Exactly what you said,
Okay, so you're going to bend your knee. And we'll go for a little bit of manual work to try and improve that plantar flexion range, right? So I'm going to hold there, push there. They feel okay as grip points?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pull forward, and then you're going to point your toes. So put the ball of your foot down to the table and back up. And I'm not just opening the front of the joint, I'm thinking of pulling this way as well. I'm actually pulling that way. Right there, and then push. Good.
Yeah, I mean
it's a weird feeling.
I've never been able to do that last week.
and then one more. And the dose of how much treatment you can handle at this stage at day 13 versus that first one at day
6. No, first one, day 2.
2. Yeah, totally different, right?
Yeah.
You can have 3-5 times as much treatment a day without irritating and making you sore. Anything that's done in that first stage needs to be really closely controlled from a dose point of view. Right, so point your toes down. A little bit better?
Yeah. Oh, I could feel every time you pulled it,
Like,
it was getting better. Yeah.
so when we do get those problems down the outside, the kind of critical bone is the cuboid just in here. So we'll give that a little shove around. So we want to be on the sore spot, but not hurting it.
Yeah, I mean,
just pulse.
It's not like...
So hands-on techniques, particularly those that focus at the joints, are really interesting, and I think it's one of those classic things of great intervention, but the wrong story is often told. Like, this does not correct bone's positions. You know, I don't shove something back into its place and then when I let go it stays there. A better way to think about it really is when we're shoving around like this, we're probably kind of operating pumps to an extent where we're kind of putting pressure in and creating some kind of low pressure, high pressure kind of squeeze and pulse. Obviously when something's been swollen, then that's going to be useful in terms of kind of clearing out and just sort of restoring motion to all those small joints, because they've all got sensors in them which talk to your brain to tell you how to balance or don't.
Yeah.
Grab a hold of your feet, people. Give them a pull around and a bit of a twist in. We don't need to be that specific. The foot is incredibly strong.
I speak to so many runners who just don't give their feet any thought at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't for years, you know?
No.
Everything else I thought about, feet, just
It's
ignored
the
them.
only bit interacting with the outside world.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a bit like driving a racing car and ignoring the tyres.
Yeah,
like, it's the first thing that you look at there.
Man.
As a runner, it really should be the first thing if we're getting problems is how's the foot on that side if we've got one-sided problems. The arch is that important spring to the movement when we're running, and if the foot is stiff and rigid, then the spring can't work, and so the force travels further up the system and it leaves more for the knee and the hip and the lower back to do, because there are big springs really. Hip and sacroiliac joint, the outside of the knee, and then the arch of the foot. And if one doesn't move, then one of the other ones will often become overloaded, and there's an important lesson in that. So a lot of people with an IT band problem will have a stiff arch or a funny hip, and a lot of people who are getting kind of pain in their calf will be down to a kind of stiffness in one of the joints either side of it, because really more than anything running is about making our springs work efficiently in order to kind of evenly absorb load. So another really nice thing to work on is a knee circle, basically. Try this on your good leg first of all. So you're going to put your foot forward, you're standing mainly on the back leg, and you've got that one turned out to the side for balance, right? Yep. You're going to plant that foot flat on the floor, whole of the sole is going to stay down, and then if you straighten your knee, that's like the back of the circle, okay? And then you're going to make your knee go round in a circle, and you're going to keep the whole of your foot flat on the floor.
That's so awkward.
So, go inside.
Okay.
So now we make the circle real, and just like that bit, that sort of accuracy game. Side accuracy is one thing, but kind of accuracy in 3 dimensions like this is putting a whole load more demand. Sensory feedback, right? So more input from the position, then you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
And then if you take it away, then you can kind of lock into that pattern, and so you can start with it there and then kind of keep taking it off. We want to be able to do it without it, but it's so useful to teach it. And the reason it's so much easier is because your skin is an incredibly important part of how we put together kind of movement coordination sensation, and that's all you're stimulating then. But there's also a visual target, I guess, as well, so you're kind of getting something to aim at from that point of view.
I think you're
but
right.
that's lovely. Put that one in. Okay, so the straight knee is the back of the circle, and straight away it's rougher, right? You're pulling me around, you're jumping off it at times.
Yeah, I'm really having to think about it.
The ends of the toes are hanging onto the earth like it's a vertical cliff. As gravity goes this way, you're alright. So yes, we want that soft, accepting feeling on the bottom of the foot, but we don't want to feel like we're pulling the heel, the big toe, or the little toe off.
It doesn't want to go up here.
And so this is great, right? You can really learn about yourself with stuff like this. Because you're trying to follow a predefined path, it's obvious where the issue is.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just say draw the circle, you'll just draw a circle with a bit chopped off over here, and then convince yourself that's the circle, right? Like that's the way and we work. Almost good enough is will often kind of take as good enough, right?
Yeah.
So without the circle there, you're going to do that yourself now. And if it feels catchy, and you can see there instantly harder, just take a bit more weight on the other leg. And you can feel the struggle is to be relaxed enough in the foot. There's that big tendency to just always have tension. But that tension is useful at times, but what it doesn't do is allow for arch movement. And that's what you're trying to learn here. So although the circle is in the knee, the target is for the arch to fall and rise while the whole foot stays on the floor. And if people do one exercise, do this, knee circle, the most underdone useful exercise for the lower limb. So you're going to put fingertips on the bar, but just for balance, okay? Come in a little bit closer so you can bend a little bit in the arm. So the first thing we're going to look at is just a calf raise, right? Calf raise is such an important exercise. Of all of the muscles we use when we run, nothing works harder for its size than your calf muscle, particularly the deep one, your soleus. Way more important that we're training calf and quads well for strength before we worry about glutes and core. So this is really good work for Lloyd, but it's also really good work for just about anybody who runs. Okay, so on two legs, what you're going to do is just lift up onto your tiptoes. So as you do that, you want to think about keeping your knees nice and straight and your body's moving straight up perpendicular to the ground and drop back down again. And on two legs, it should be easy, yeah? You can do that, you can come up quick, you can come down slow, you can go up slow, and you can come down quick, right? So you own it, yeah? Right. So that is the basic variation number one, and that's a straight leg calf raise. And then you're going to bend both knees to about 20 degrees. You're going to keep your knees at that angle, you're going to keep your hips just how they are, and you're going to lift your heels up again. I
can't move! No.
You got it. So what's important is you don't straighten your knees as you go up, and you don't bend your knees as you go up. So it's still the same basic exercise, just with this little crick in the leg. And down again. Harder version though,
way harder.
Harder on the knee, harder on the ankle, the whole thing, yeah. Okay, and down. So let's just see on a single leg now, and leave your good leg down and take your sore one off the ground, and we'll just see what this one's got. So straight leg, let's see 10 good up and downs. 3 more.
10.
Starting to feel a little bit there?
Yeah, it feels alright.
Not too bad?
Yeah.
Keep going then, get to 20. Absolute minimum, we should be able to do 20. There is a chart, because they get slightly less as you get older, as how many you should be able to do, but sort of thinking around 30 is a good number to be able to hit, and that was relatively easy, right? Yeah. So now you're going to go to bent knee.
Okay. This will be
not so smug now, huh? Yeah. It's harder on lots of levels. It's harder as a coordination challenge. It's often where people are actually quite weak below the knee and need to work on the strength. Go.
It's just hard to
keep that coordination. Yeah, that idea that the knee is stuck in a solid brace. That's the best way to think about it. It's got like a fixed brace on it. And then the only thing we say here is just slow it up a little bit and get that heel right up in the air all the way through. And you can feel there is like a little bit of extra that you could kind of learn to push up to into there. So good things to check is that really your ankle and your toes are the only joints that are moving, that for every centimetre your heel goes up, your head should go up the same, and all the movement should be vertical. There should be as little forward in it as possible. Very good.
Yeah, you really feel
practice these people, right? But it's hard, right?
Yeah.
So let's see what happens when you try on this sore leg.
Oh dear. Yeah. It's definitely not the same.
So the quality is much lower. Is there pain?
No, I wouldn't say pain. No, just no, not pain. It just feels really weak.
Particularly at this stage, and in general, like. Try and do strengthening drills through pain is a really poor idea. You can usually find a strengthening exercise that feels more weak than sore. And now if that just feels really weak, then that's good to do. But you could certainly just do up and hold at the top. So you're going to lift up, you're going to hold that top position for 3 good breaths in and out. And then slowly lower back down again.
Yeah, That felt better there.
And it's about what actually gets you that feeling of muscle pump. What makes you feel like this muscle's working really, really hard on the back of the lower leg. And isometrics are a really easy way to start. And then as it unlocks, you're going to gradually start to add up-down movement to it. So we'll probably need to go isometric on the bent leg as well, but just see if you can get it at all. Just about. And slowly down.
Yeah, that actually didn't feel as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, there you go. Pleasantly surprised once more.
Yeah.
And then up. Pause at the top. Slowly back down. What we're after really is time under tension. That's why isometrics are so useful, is because if you've got pain and difficulty coordinating the movement, just stick it there, hold it, and you can get your work done really, really fast and actually achieve the job, which is to get the calf muscle feeling like it's worked pretty hard and it's kind of a bit sore and achy afterwards. But yes, basically they are two monster exercises for everything from plantar fascia to Achilles tendon to dodgy ankles to funny things in the knee. But just as part of general running conditioning work, there should be some form of single leg calf raise, and awful lot of people do them really badly or don't do them at all. So hopefully that will be a useful little snippet for people.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a form. I think people.
People think they're doing it, right? They stand here and they kind of just go like this.
Yeah.
And no, like slow is harder. And when you're trying to work a muscle, you want to think that you're just going to get it done as quickly as possible. So you're trying to induce as much fatigue, and that's going to come by spending as much time under load as possible. So think up for 5, hold for 5, down for 5. If it's easy and you're hitting good numbers, then keep it really slow and add weight to the movement, because we do want to just keep pushing forward more and more. I've never met a runner going, I think your main problem is your calf muscles are just too strong for your body.
Right, that is the end of session 3 with Paul Coker at Move Physio. Definitely heading in the right direction when it comes to my rehab. You can probably see from the exercise we've done, the range of movement is starting to come back, and we're starting to work on putting a bit of strength back into that ankle. So heading in the right direction. Fingers crossed, we're sort of hoping for maybe a couple of weeks and we can get back to some light running maybe, as long as that ankle is feeling okay. We're definitely not going to rush back to running, that's for sure. Really glad you've been enjoying this content featuring Paul and seeing me through my rehab process. The feedback's been great on the channel, so we're definitely going to keep these videos coming, and hopefully we're going to work on a little series in the future with Paul on maybe strength and conditioning, mobility, and maybe a bit of sort of taping, kinesiology taping. But for now guys, thanks for watching, thanks for all your positive messages and all the positive vibes that you've sent my way. We will see you in the next video, and as always, stay safe and keep on running, and hopefully I'll be back running soon. But for now guys, thanks for watching. Yeah, you're seeing the reality now. You're not seeing the polished, finished video. Yeah.
We all think you just do it and like everything is single take.
If only, yeah. But for now guys, thanks for watching, thanks for all your work.